and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It has been a hell of a week. It's been a hell of a year for all of us. And before we even step foot towards the disaster that was the last episode of Monday Night Raw of this disastrous year, 2020 decides to kick the wrestling industry in the nuts once again by taking somebody way too soon. And it hits really close to home for me as a husband, as a father, in his early 40s. I have so many plans and aspirations for my future, being able to provide for my family. I couldn't imagine being gone at this point in my life. And Jon Huber, whether you loved him as Luke Harper, whether you loved him as Brodie Lee, or you loved him for the man he is in reality, he was on that verge of success. He was just about to truly fulfill his dream. He was set and placed in AEW to be a superstar, unlike what they did to him in the WWE. But that's petty right now to pick on that. We all know the history he had there. The important thing to realize is that a man is gone. And it's important for us to remember him for all of the good that he brought. Not how poorly he was booked, but for what he brought to the world of sports entertainment. How he put forth the best effort possible each and every time. He gained and earned an opportunity to rub shoulders with the likes of Randy Orton and was in talks of being part of the World Heavyweight Championship picture going towards WrestleMania just a few years ago. Unfortunately, none of those dreams and aspirations would come to fruition for Luke Harper, and he would shift gears over to AEW. He would be known as the Exalted One. He was the Brodie Lee character. He was taking pot shots at Vince McMahon, and it seemed like everything was in alignment. And now he's just gone. And it's probably, of all of the losses we have had on this year, not to disrespect or play down any other death that we've had to go through this year, from Road Warrior, Animal, and everybody in between, this one really just took the wind right out of the entire wrestling community. Does it matter how? No, it doesn't matter how. Do they owe us an explanation? Absolutely not. But we owe them. We owe them our thoughts and prayers and support. And there's not much more I can say that probably hasn't already been said. But I was always a huge fan of Luke Harper. He was actually my favorite member of the Wyatt family in all of its incarnations. And I was very happy for his success in AEW. And this is just a terrible, terrible, tragic loss that's going to take the industry a little time to get over. You've seen the outpouring of respect and well wishes and memories from the entire WWE roster, AEW roster, family, friends, and everyone in between. Journalists and podcasters like myself, all feeling this one very, very deeply. And my thoughts and prayers, as well as I'm sure all of you, are with the Huber family, all of Jon Huber's friends, and everybody who seemingly loved him so much, because this was a quality human being. But unfortunately, life's got a life. And it's just, life sucks sometimes. And this is one of the clearest examples of that. But now to get down to business, I'm going to try to lighten the mood. We're going to have a little bit of fun by bringing the hammer down on Monday Night Raw like only we can do. With all respect and every good wish and thought you could imagine to the life and memory of the great Brodie Lee / Luke Harper / Jon Huber. So hey-o, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Let's pick up the vibe and bring the hammer down on Raw. Last Monday night, oh my God. You know what? I haven't been reviewing over the last week. The holidays are a hard time to get your schedule in gear. Plus, I hadn't really been feeling too well. My job really puts the pressure on me. We do a lot of overtime hours. We do a lot of friggin' work, and it was hard for me to get in this chair and talk about stuff that's just so friggin' awful. But we have to do it. It's the last show of the year, and I want you guys to go out with a bang. I'm sure you listened to everybody else, and now you're going to listen to the funniest guy on YouTube, because you know what that means. You know what that means. It's time for the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. I cannot believe just how bad this show is getting. It's a continuation week in and week out. It's the same story. It's the same song and dance. We usually get the same matches over and over, and we did get a couple of rematches here on this night. But for the most part, most of these matches were completely random and made absolutely no sense. And to all of you people out there that are all ecstatic over Keith Lee winning this matchup, you all got to calm down. All right, it does not erase all of the bad that they have done to this man's character. From the debacle with his entrance and his ring gear, to the way they changed his wrestling style, made him look like less of a monster than he used to be in NXT, and now has spent the last couple of weeks either losing or winning by DQ or some stupid notion like that, to find himself in a championship position to challenge Drew McIntyre by beating Sheamus tonight, or last night rather, on Monday Night Raw. And you know what? That's really not so much of the problem. You know, having them face off to see who the number one contender is, that's a great idea. It's a way to earn your title shot. Having the title match next week on Legends Raw, that's where they screwed up. This should have been to establish the contender who's going to challenge Drew at the Royal Rumble, leaving you 4 weeks or however many fucking weeks there is left to the Royal Rumble to build a program between Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. Because right now you're just telling the story of two friends. Actually, no matter who wins this match, you're telling the same story. Keith Lee is Drew McIntyre's new friend. Sheamus is McIntyre's friend for 15 years. He's suddenly babyface. We got 3 baby faces going for the World Heavyweight Championship. And on the same show, we have 2 heels, AJ Styles and Elias, facing off for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Because, you know, AJ wanted to listen to some music with Almost in the back. And, you know, Elias's stupid guitar playing interrupted that. So now we got the heels fighting each other. We got 3 baby faces in a triple threat kind of scenario for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm supposed to sit here and tell you guys that this was a good show? Just because a couple of big guys like Sheamus and Keith Lee started off this whole entire show with a meat-slapping contest? It didn't do shit for me. It's the same that we've seen from Sheamus and Keith Lee over and over again. Keith Lee sold the shit out of this matchup for Sheamus, making him look fantastic, only to get somewhat of a surprise win in the end. He pulled it out in the end, so Keith Lee gets the win, and we're all supposed to shut up and stop complaining. No, because unless you're a complete and total idiot, you know for a fact that Sheamus is going to get involved in this matchup and send them either towards a triple threat at the Royal Rumble, which might be okay, but or a one-on-one between he and Drew McIntyre down the line, whatever the plans may be, somewhere along the lines, Keith Lee is going to get screwed. Even if he wins the match via disqualification, he's not going to be the heavyweight champion come next Monday night. And if they do, it will only mean he's going to drop it to somebody else very soon, because I doubt they're just going to shift gears and put Keith Lee into the main event of WrestleMania after the stop-start pushing of him over the last couple of months. We know that they want to do edgier and cooler content now. USA Network is coming down on them for losing the ratings and for not being pro wrestling anymore. But that doesn't mean that we have to totally flip the script and do things that make no sense. Things like having The Miz be awarded back the Money in the Bank briefcase. The GM, who's not actually the GM, but acts as the GM, Adam Pearce, our least favorite GM since Mike Adamle, shows up tonight with the Money in the Bank briefcase and gives it back to The Miz, saying, you know what, Miz? You had a point. You had a point. Never mind the fact that you lost a match versus Graham Metalik earlier because your head's all screwed up because you lost the Money in the Bank. Boo-hoo. You lost the Money in the Bank. The Miz lost the Money in the Bank. Boo-hoo. Then you lose to Graham Metalik, and you end the night, the same night you lost to a loser in the Lucha House Party, you get the Money in the Bank briefcase back because the WWE feels bad for you and because you actually had a point when they said John Morrison cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase and The Miz actually didn't. I can tear this apart all day. First of all, the first thing they did wrong was everything. Everything about this, from the decision to giving him the briefcase back to the decision of having him dance around like a jackass with John Morrison in celebration, humping the Money in the Bank briefcase up and down the stairwell, which I really didn't need to see in my life. That's what you wrote for this guy. That's what you got for this guy. You didn't do anything. You went through a whole fucking court scenario. You had a judge and a jury and JBL, and you had a whole trial over the Money in the Bank briefcase, but The Miz couldn't get a lawyer to fight this case for him or do something along those lines. The Miz making a big stink over the fact that he lost his Money in the Bank. This guy didn't give a shit anymore. He was sitting around crying, moping like a dope in the back. Why does he get the briefcase back? Because Adam Pearce says so? This Money in the Bank briefcase was dead on arrival. From the minute it landed in Otis's hands to this moment right now. So now The Miz will have cashed in and was unsuccessful in his attempt, but will be able to get a reset and try again. You know, it's not like The Miz didn't want to do it. John Morrison said, here, he's going to cash us in. And The Miz said, okay, I'm going to cash this in, and then went in there and proceeded to be a part of the match. It's not like he was in the match for 30 seconds. He was in a decent chunk of the finish of that match. He participated very willingly. So none of this makes sense. And they couldn't even do it in a creative way that made sense to The Miz's character. They made him look like a sniveling idiot standing next to John Morrison, crying and whining all night because he lost to Grand Metalik. He don't have his mojo anymore. And then he gets what he wants anyway. This is why people hate The Miz. Not just because he has one of the most punchable faces on the planet, but because of reasons like this. Everything he gets feels unearned. And this was a very blatant way to do that. Plus, the match itself between The Miz and Grand Metalik was awful. Putting two dead acts together does not make a good thing. In a year full of unnecessary matchups, this might be one of the most useless and unnecessary matchups they planned in the entirety of the disastrous 2020 year. I say something like that, and then I have to go into, and there was also Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler, which I actually didn't mind. Not that this was a good match, but it did kind of reestablish Shayna Baszler a little bit as a badass. Another good thing, there was no Nia Jax at ringside, so I assumed that maybe we were going away from all of that, but later on in the show, that would prove to be just wishful thinking on my part. Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler was exactly what it needed to be. Shayna Baszler beat the snot out of Dana Brooke. They gave her a couple of spots, Dana, to maybe make her look good, but the end was inevitable. She got choked out by the Kirifuda clutch. Then Mandy Rose goes in there to check on her partner. She gets choked out by the Kirifuda clutch. Shayna Baszler looks like a badass once again, laying everybody out. This is what we need out of Shayna Baszler. More stuff like this. Less stuff with Nia Jax. And in the women's division altogether, have this girl run through everybody and take her place at the top. Or at least have her fight Charlotte Flair, because that's eventually where we're going to go, because we have to talk about Charlotte Flair as well, unfortunately. The woman who has been on my TV 4 times in 4 TV shows. They had 4 shows left in the year. They put Charlotte Flair on each and every single one of them. Isn't that fantastic? Aren't you hard as a rock like Vince McMahon? Is he secretly in love with Ric Flair in his youth? I don't understand what the obsession with Charlotte Flair is. She's not that good. She's not. Prove me wrong. You can't. Before we get into all of that, because that comes a little bit later, we have to talk about Alexa's Playground. Alexa showed up in her brand new Playground again. Alexa Bliss in this role is great. I love the way she performs as this half-fiend Alexa Bliss character. However, it stands to reason, why is she so happy Like, The Fiend was burned alive by Randy Orton. A lot of the stuff we haven't talked about on this channel yet because it doesn't even deserve to be talked about. We all know The Fiend is going to be back in some new incarnation. They ruined him in this mask and this getup, so the best thing he could do is change it up and start from scratch now for the third time. He's got Alexa Bliss as his little partner, right? But Alexa Bliss, she's been making jokes about The Fiend getting burnt up, talking about how everything was hot. Oh, and he was burnt to a crisp, and oh, that was a deep burn, and all kinds of weird heat-related metaphors. Making jokes, having fun, talking to Randy Orton. She teases The Fiend's returning to the Funhouse at Legends Raw next week. Another false reason for you to tune in. Not only are they giving you a bullshit title match, they're going to try to make you think The Fiend's going to show up. He probably won't. That's their thing. But here's the interesting thing. Alexa's calling out Randy Orton. Randy Orton isn't showing up. And then all of a sudden the Titantron pops up and Randy Orton decides he's going to beat up the Funhouse. He's being all methodical and all creepy and cryptic. And he rips Ramblin' Rabbit's head off. He beats up Mercy the Buzzard. He kicked Huskus the Pig's face right off. And this is Randy Orton, the apex predator, beating up toys in a room that was supposedly only existing in the mind of Bray Wyatt. So how he got there and how it got to be seen on the screen, that's a little inconsistent with the story you're trying to tell me with the Firefly Funhouse. But even if we forgave all of that, the one thing I don't understand is why Randy Orton beating up the puppets and the friends in the Funhouse made Alexa Bliss more upset than when the Fiend was set ablaze and burnt from existence. She's laughing about it, she's joking about it, but no, don't fucking touch Ramblin' Rabbit. Now she's crying, she's asking Randy, no, he beats everybody up, and now she's got a challenge. She's going to challenge Randy Orton to meet her in the ring later tonight, which at that point I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? What does this mean? Are they going to start intergender shit? Is Alexa Bliss going to morph into a new fucking Bray Wyatt? What the hell is going on? I don't know. I don't understand what's happening, and it kind of is turning me off. From what was essentially one of the more interesting things going on in the WWE is just slowly becoming typical WWE trash. Trash. We then move to AJ Styles versus Elias because some lame backstage argument between these two that we mentioned before. And all this proves this match, AJ Styles gets a victory over Elias. They gave this match almost 20 minutes of airtime. And AJ did okay, as you know, AJ Styles could wrestle a broomstick and make the match entertaining. So it's no surprise to me that this wasn't so much of a boring match. It just was just a match, and had Elias, and you know what? Elias lost, which is what Elias does. The best moment between AJ Styles and Elias on this whole night came in that awkward backstage moment where he called him Johnny Trash instead of Johnny Cash, which wasn't even really that funny, but I appreciated the effort. What I don't appreciate is the fact that Elias came back with Jackson Riker, who is completely worthless and changed absolutely nothing about Elias. What is his purpose? Elias is just a loser, so Jackson Riker is now a loser with another loser, so what's the point? What's the point? And then we have this heel versus heel thing. You got Almost on the outside, intimidating Riker, keeping him from getting involved. Who am I supposed to be cheering for? I don't know what's happening on Raw anymore. Elias remains a glorified jobber. Adding Jackson Riker changed nothing in this battle of heels because of reasons. This is why we don't want to watch Monday Night Raw anymore. You need another reason? How about anything and everything that has to do with Retribution? Retribution is a faction full of losers who want to have Ricochet, who is himself another loser, join with them to form the biggest group of losers since the NWO. Not the original version, but you get my drift. Okay? This was the best match of the night. Ricochet and Mustafa Ali are fucking fantastic professional wrestlers. You wouldn't know that by watching WWE Weekly, but these guys went out there and made a statement with their match. It was a great match until the wacky WWE fun booking that they do. Retribution, of course, has to get involved because all 4 of the other members are at ringside. Ricochet still has no friends to help him out, so he's out there on his own. He has been beaten every week for the last 3 weeks by the other 3 nut jobs in Trashtribution. Right? He got beaten by Slapnuts, he got beaten by Mush, and he got beaten by Teabags. Alright, so now he's facing the leader of Mustafa Ali. And they go through this very good match, only to have Retribution get involved. Ricochet single-handedly, after taking a good amount of damage and a good beating from Mustafa Ali for the majority of the match, has the strength to destroy everybody in Retribution on the outside. He did this crazy flipping DDT to teabagging his head into the steel grating onto the side of the ring, the hardest part of the ring. Looked vicious. He did some other weird spinny fucking move to Mace. He took out Slapnuts. He even almost got Reckoning. And then he gets back into the ring, goes to execute a shooting star press. Ali gets the knees up, ends up tapping out Ricochet. Ricochet loses. So what's the point? Obviously Ricochet lost. He's obviously got to join now, right? Wasn't that the point of this match? If you can't beat me, you've got to become part of our group. So Ali says, that's it, Ricochet, what are you going to do? You in or you're out? And Ricochet was like, I am not in. Or I will not join you. Very corny, like they like to write Ricochet in this very corny style. So nothing has changed. Nothing at all. Ricochet loses again. Retribution's only wins on the WWE roster since they've debuted have been against Ricochet. So we have a meeting of losers that just won't end. That just won't end. If I thought maybe that Ricochet was going to end up calling up Cedric and joining up with the Hurt Business to maybe try to even the odds, but the WWE isn't even that good. The Hurt Business was the first team to stand up to Retribution. Why Retribution's still even walking around on Monday Night Raw is beyond me. They all got distracted, I guess, by the Raw Underground at the time, but the Hurt Business should be taking care of business and getting rid of Retribution, and a great way to do that would be to have Ricochet become part of it and bring it all together. Because what we don't need is useless segments watching the Hurt Business going in the back, teasing random assholes every single week. Some dumb dick in the back just happened to walk by the fucking Hurt Business, and every single week we're seeing this happen. Every week it's the same segment. They're walking through, some jackass is there, and they're like, hey, jackass, you shouldn't be here. And then they walk away, and that's it. And that's it. And then we get the Hurt Business's match later in the evening. Back to the worst possible thing that could happen to the women's division in 2020, the return of Charlotte Flair. As I mentioned in a little bit of a tizzy, we had her come back at the pay-per-view. She then showed up on Raw. Then for the first time on SmackDown since the brand split, they decide that, oh right, the women's tag team champions are supposed to be defended on both brands. And now that Charlotte's on there, we have to reinstitute that. So there she was on SmackDown. And now here she is again on Monday Night Raw 4 times in the span of 8 days. I have to watch Charlotte Flair on my TV screen, and you wonder why we're sick of her already. Or at least I am. And I'm sure you are. And if you're not, you should be, and you're gonna be soon, because it don't look like they're easing up at all. Let's talk about this bullshit that went on. Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair. This match should have felt much bigger. You're talking about a story that you guys penned a while back, when Nia Jax supposedly put out Charlotte Flair with the arm injury. They did make mention of that. They did make note of that. But you know who didn't seem to give a shit about any of that? Charlotte Flair. She's walking around the women's tag team champion. She's got her eyes on climbing the ladder. She don't give a shit about getting revenge against the giant woman that almost ripped her arm off. And then on the flip side, the giant woman who wanted to rip off Charlotte Flair's arm, Nia Jax, doesn't give a shit that this woman's really back. She just wants to go into the Royal Rumble, win the Women's Tag Team Championships back, and then go on to WrestleMania to face whoever the champion is. This was Nia Jax's own words. Not once ever mentioning how much maybe she hates Charlotte Flair, how maybe she did it on purpose to get rid of Charlotte Flair, how she can't believe that Charlotte Flair's back so soon and she's gonna have to rip her arm off again. And on the flip side again, Charlotte Flair, not angry. Not angry. She doesn't seem to be that pissed off at Nia Jax. She's just here to win championships and smile and woo. And then she's friends with Asuka, which looks fucking awkward. It's I'm not buying it. We all know Charlotte Flair's gonna turn on her in the quickest way possible. But this, even if you put aside all of that, when you watch this match, it was given way too much time. Nia Jax couldn't sell shit. She couldn't sell ice to an Eskimo. It's just not there. Charlotte Flair struggled with Nia Jax for the majority of this. This is what I've seen. And I also seen Charlotte Flair struggle to throw a dropkick in this matchup. A dropkick. Something we know she can do. Maybe she was exhausted for trying to carry Nia on her back for the entirety of that matchup. And Nia just is aloof about everything. She don't even look like she feels pain in the ring. She's just there trying to get her moves in. It's obvious. This match was boring. It was sloppy. Charlotte wins via disqualification thanks to Shayna Baszler finally interfering and putting us out of our misery. Speaking of disqualifications, they are so off with that shit, huh? Like, we got the Retribution match where everybody's getting involved and the referee's like, okay, but then Shayna Baszler gets involved and it's a clear disqualification. Now, obviously it was, granted it was a good time to call for a disqualification. I'm just saying they need to justify or clarify the rules here a little bit. Then, of course, what does the WWE do when they don't have a fucking clue what to do? Let's do a multi-man match. This week we pick, roll the dice, Vince McMahon. Oh, I hope we get an 8. Let's do an 8-man tag. Boom! 4 and 4, 8 every single time. Vince McMahon is victorious. He gets a multi-man fucking match on every single show we have to watch. To make it essentially worse, they have to continue making Matt Riddle look like a complete, total buffoon. They are not selling him as a stoner, all right? This is not what potheads look like, act like, or sound like. He sounds like a fucking kindergarten idiot, and it's stupid. It's stupid. Matt Riddle is in the back with the New Day and his new Hardy bro, Jeff Hardy. They're celebrating Big E winning the Intercontinental Championship. And then they're like, well, you know what? This is a pretty good team, man. And Matt, I almost was going to say Matt Hardy. This is going to be something I need to get used to. Matt Riddle doesn't know the word quartet, apparently. Because he's like, we got two duo, you're a duo, and we're a duo, and there's 2 duos, and like, I don't know what you call a group of 4 men. Like, he didn't say that, but that's exactly what the fuck they made him sound like. And then he wants to throw out a few names. He says, how about we call ourselves the Little Bronies? And here's where Xavier Woods stepped in and was like, no, we can't do that, because if you didn't know, Xavier Woods is actually an honorary brony of the Little Bronies of the My Little Pony variety. My Little Pony fans are called bronies. I guess if you're a man, or maybe it's just a general term for a fan. I don't know that much about it. All I know is Xavier Woods is in on it, and it's absolutely fine. You know what's not fine? Calling this foursome the Little Bronies, and Xavier Woods made that perfectly clear due to copyright and things of that nature. Then he wanted to suggest the positively hard bros, because we have to do kindergarten, 5th grade sexual innuendo jokes that wouldn't even make my 8-year-old laugh. And then, after the New Day was like, you know what, bro? Take your names, shove them up your ass, or roll them up and smoke them. We're going to go out and get ready for this match. Jeff Hardy's like, no, man, we'll just call ourselves the Rain Bros. And I want this to be over. so fast. Riddle and Hardy and the New Day took on the Hurt Business. This match was nothing more than a spot fest. Everybody got in their spots. The good spots in this matchup were the ones that were callbacks and tributes to Brodie Lee. We've seen lots of spinning lariats tonight in his honor, and that's just fine. I have no problem with that. Xavier Woods, in my opinion, did the best one. I thought it was great to see their love for this guy portrayed in their work. What I don't think was great was seeing this match come to an end by having Bobby Lashley wrap up Jeff Hardy in the Hurt Lock once again, and for the fourth time in 4 weeks, Jeff Hardy has tapped out to Bobby Lashley in the Hurt Lock. Now, this prompted Matt Riddle to jump into the ring and start some beef with Bobby Lashley. Apparently, that's the direction we're going. Why would you even care about Bobby Lashley versus Jeff Hardy at this point? He has proven Jeff Hardy is nothing to him. He has beaten him in multiple tag matches on many occasions and has made him tap out. And if the story they want to tell is Bobby Lashley versus Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship, and if Jeff Hardy gets in that Hurt Lock, it's over. If that's your main story point, I'm already uninterested. Bobby Lashley also decided this was the night to declare himself into the Royal Rumble for 2021. Isn't everybody in the Royal Rumble? Wouldn't the rest of the Hurt Business be in the Royal Rumble? Nia Jax as well, talking about the Royal Rumble. They don't even have 30 women. Of course you're in the Royal Rumble, you dumbass. You don't need to announce it. We know it. They're going to have to pull girls up from NXT to fill it out. I'm not an idiot. So the Hurt Business get the victory here. And then in a weird little back and forth, it was just garbage. It was garbage. Just as garbage as the way they decided to end this show. Alexa Bliss's confrontation with Randy Orton. Now, I understand what they were trying to do. They're trying to build intrigue. Right? They're trying to leave you with a cliffhanger ending. But you can't have cliffhangers in pro wrestling. Because we don't stop the show. The show doesn't continue next Monday from where we left off. It's an all-new show, starting from point A. So, how does this make sense? This reminds me of what they did with Drew McIntyre closing the cage of the Hell in a Cell, leading into his Hell in a Cell match with Randy Orton. And then the show went to black. And nothing happened in the cage. You know what? Nothing happened here either. Alexa Bliss doused herself with gasoline. She's so distraught about him destroying the funhouse and killing the puppets. She wants Randy Orton to burn her alive the way he burned the Fiend. And Randy Orton's like, I'll do it. I mean, you don't think I'll do it? I'll do it. But I don't want to do it because you want me to do it. And it's no fun if your subject, I guess, is willing. What does that say about Randy Orton? And so Alexa's laying in the gasoline. She's pouring trails of gasoline. She gives him matches. She's begging him to do it. Randy Orton doesn't want to do it, but he's going to do it. And then Jesus said he's going to do it. And then all the lights go out. And then they show Randy Orton light the match. Hold it to his face to light himself up in a very creepy manner. And then the show fades to black. Now, normally I'd give them credit for trying something here. But you can't. You know why? Because immediately following Monday Night Raw, we went to Raw Talk. And on Raw Talk, they didn't even acknowledge what happened. And apparently it was over. Because Raw Talk happens in the arena, right? So the lights went up. Nobody's burning to death in the ring. There's no smoke in the arena. So we know Randy Orton didn't do jack shit. And then they didn't even talk about it. They didn't mention it, nothing. They just went on with Raw Talk, business as usual. How am I supposed to get invested in this? What happened to Alexa Bliss? No update on WWE.com. Nothing on social media. Just stupidity. Stupidity. Trying too hard. Because obviously they don't realize the concept that, oh, well, you know what? We can't continue from where we left off. So why are we doing this? at the very least, you could have did that and then had the post-match or the aftermath of the incident on WWE.com. Drive traffic to your website by doing something interesting. Or to the network. Or as the lead-in for Raw Talk. Would have made people start tuning into that piece of crap talk show too. But no. We're going to have you not know shit. We're going to leave you lost. We're going to leave you in the dark, confused. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much your general episode of Monday Night Raw. Same shit. Same shit. And I don't see no light at the end of the tunnel with anything they did tonight. 2021 isn't shaping up, in the wrestling business anyway, to be any better than 2020. That's going to be it. This is our last show of the year on Sledgehammer TV. Thank you guys so much for a great year. Thank you for tolerating my little bit of inconsistencies in these last month. It's been kind of crazy. Weird things have been happening that shouldn't be happening. Certain family things need to be taken care of, and sometimes life just gets in the way. And I promise you guys I'm going to be better for 2020. At this point in the video, only my hardcores are watching. Make sure you guys hit me up in the comments section down below with some maybe new fresh ideas on how we could change things up around here. We want to become one of the biggest top networks on YouTube. We want to be rubbing shoulders with the upper echelon and everybody's favorites up there. And I have you guys so far, but we need to grow. We need to grow, and I need some input, maybe some help from you guys. What do you think we could do to make the show better? Should I not go immediately after Raw? Should I be a little bit more produced? Should we do clip shows? Like, I'm not sure. Not that I have all that much time to produce more content. I'm just trying to give you guys the best that I got at all times. So I promise to try to do better, and any help you guys can offer would be much appreciated. The best way you could help me is by smashing that thumbs up, hitting that subscribe button, joining the team, and then sharing this video with anybody you think might enjoy it and wants to come along this journey and become a sledgehead for themselves as well. I love each and every one of you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, whether or not you celebrate Christmas, or Hanukkah, or whatever it is you're celebrating. I hope you're celebrating it large, and I hope you're having as much fun as you possibly can as this terrible, terrible year comes to a close. Have a safe and happy New Year. We will see you guys on the other side of 2021. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you in 2021 right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.